Shalom, and welcome back to Bnei Noach Academy, Thoughts on Life. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. So I want to take this opportunity to respond to a very intriguing question that was posted on the comment of a very recent class titled, "The Curse is the Blessing," and it's by Anna. Shout out to Anna. Hi, Anna. Thank you so much for your dedicated viewership and interaction. You're always asking good questions. She says, "Thank you for the short comment, Rabbi. Yet, isn't it true that throughout the whole history, people from all cultures have strived for a perfect world, free from any kind of suffering and evil? Just think of all the totalitarian regimes which have existed in this world. It seems as though the desire to build and live in such a perfect, quote, paradise has driven human beings since the dawn of their existence. But why is the desire so deeply rooted in us?" Well, the class that this question is coming on the heels of was basically explaining the idea where God says to us that even the bad is really ultimately good. The curse, quote unquote, is the blessing because it actually leads us to the blessing, and it brings out, by contrast, the greatness of the blessing. And the point of the class that was made in the class was that the bad that exists, the evil that exists in the world, is therefore to provide us with a free choice space. Thus, the good that we do is significant. It has the value that it has. Let me try to address this question, because the truth is that several minutes will not do justice to really thoroughly delve into this matter. However, don't want to leave it without anything. So here's just want to give a few points for perspective. And I guess when you think about it and you put it together, it'll start to make sense. You see, the fact that human beings strive for a better world, for quote unquote, a utopian world, is actually a byproduct, or I should say an inherent product of the fact that we are, quote, created in the image of God. Because we're created in the image of God, meaning we have the qualities, we have those godly, divine qualities in us, which drive us to be like God. And just like God wants the world to be a perfect place, God wants the world to be that, quote, utopian place, which ultimately it will be. Everything we're doing now will lead to the ultimate time when the arrival of Mashiach, the Messiah, and there'll be the ultimate redemption, and then the world will be a utopian place. Then all evil will be eradicated. Thus, the human being has it in themselves, in the very subconscious, that desire for that perfect world, for that utopian world, for that, quote unquote, paradise. It's just that at the same time that we have that desire and we strive for it, and we try to, and we should absolutely try to get as close to it as possible in the reality that we live in now, at the same time, we should not ignore the fact that there is evil. We cannot just stick our heads in the sand. We cannot just be oblivious to it. It is there, it exists, and at the same time that it poses a challenge to us and makes it difficult for us, and maybe perhaps could even create sometimes a sense of despair in our quest, in our yearning for this utopian paradise, we have to remember that it is ultimately God's making. It is ultimately, therefore, a good thing. It's just that not in the good, which comes in the obvious manner of good. In other words, in the, what I would call the immature and perhaps short-minded idea of what good is, but rather this is an ultimate good which comes through the workings and overcoming the challenges of the evil and the bad. So in short, it's a good thing that societies throughout history strive for that utopian, great and ultimate, a civilization, ultimate situation of good only. But unfortunately, there were societies that try to ignore the reality that there is evil in the world, because they looked at the evil. The reason why they shunned the evil in the manner which they did is because they looked at the evil as bad, and as not, God forbid, coming from God. And therefore, they couldn't see any good redeeming qualities in it. We, however, know that although evil is evil, and although it comes from God, we cannot embrace it in a positive manner, rather in a negative manner. But at the same time, we are not deterred by it. We are not turned off by it, because we know that this is part of the process. This comes from God. But the yearning we have to be in a, so to speak, paradise, in a utopian setting, that is a godly yearning that we have built into us. That is a good thing. And that should constantly motivate us to become better and better and make the world around us better and better, thus coming closer and closer to it as much as humanly possible in the current situation that we're in. We don't have control over that. Once God changes that, now we're talking. Now the utopia will be, but then it will be by default. You see, all good that we do now is so much more valuable than will be in the future. Because when it's going to be then, it's going to be good, because there's nothing else but good. As I said, the bad, the evil will be eradicated forever, as God says through the prophet. But the good that we have today, even though it may seem so small and so minuscule compared to the good that will be, but the good that we have today, we have earned it. We have achieved it through sweat and tears, through hard labor, through intense conviction, through intense tenacity. That is what makes it so special. And that's why God made it be this way. Because really, in that sense, it is the ultimate good, which will lead to the even more ultimate good, that time of all good.